Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings. Good cup of tea. This time we're doing something slightly different. We're going to be looking at some inks, because I've had a lot of people have asked me about Diamine inks and I love them. I've been using them for some years. This is my standard editing ink, a very good bright red. But the nice thing about Diamine is they have oodles of different colours. So you can see here all the different shades and colours that they have in their standard range, and then they got specialist ranges after that as well. So I like Diamine because with them you can have a lot of variety with the different colours, and that always makes life interesting. They also do, as well as these enormous pops with 80 mils, they do smaller sizes, and these are what we're going to look at today. Some nice, new, interesting, shimmering, glittering inks that they've produced. You can see there's metal swirls in there as I shake it, and these go in your fountain pen and create glittery, shimmery writing, which is just fantastic to look at. So we're going to look at that now. Okay, so here we are. The three inks I've got to look at are Magical Forest, Red Luster, and this one, Diamine Dazzle. Now what's interesting is, if I turn it round, you can see that there's a thick precipitate at the bottom there, and that's all the little particles of metal. In the Diamine Dazzle and also the Red Luster, the particles are all golden and stand out really well. You can see the particles at the very bottom of this one because I haven't shaken it recently. If I give it a quick shake now, you can see all the particles there swirling around in glorious technicolor, as it were. And then the other one I've got here is Magical Forest, which is the green version. This is slightly different because it's got silver particles. I believe the blue inks that they've brought out also have silver particles, but I haven't got any of them here. I thought that it would be nice to test some Christmassy colours, so I got the reds and one green. And then the idea is that I can write thank you notes or anything else with them, which obviously makes a lot of sense. Now, what am I going to use to write with? I thought the best thing to do would be to get some pens that have got nice, obvious ink reservoirs so that you can see them. So just going to open this. This is my Conway Stewart Drake. As you can see, perfectly pristinely clean. But this I'm going to fill with some, I think, red, and then my Churchill I'm going to fill with the green, and we'll see how they look on paper. So first of all, we're going to use some Diamine Dazzle, and I'm going to use this in my little Kaweco AL Sport. And the nice thing about this pen is that it's just so easy to keep clean and tidy, and it's got a wonderful, really good fat double B, double broad nib. Now this ink is quite surprisingly good in terms of drying. It doesn't seem to take very long at all, so that's something that I'm going to find really useful while doing things like signing my name in books at Christmas. I like that lots. So for my next, here we've got the Red Luster, which I must admit I think is turning out to be one of my favourites. I really like those swirls in the bottle. For this, I've got my Conway Stewart Drake. I love this pen. It's solid silver and it's got a wonderful weight to it, really nice feel. So let's just say this is Red Luster, in the Diamine Shimmertastic range, and I'm using my Conway Stewart with a broad nib. Lovely. Now you may of course be wondering why I'm using one Kaveco and two Conway Stewarts for this, and the reason is I thought it would be useful to pinch all of the nibs that are fattest. So this is one of my fattest nibs. I won't say fat, let's just say largest nibs. And then hopefully when this ink dries after a couple of minutes you'll be able to see just how good it looks. Now the last of the inks that I've got here is the Magical Forest, with more of a silvery precipitate than the other two, which are both golden. For this I've got another Conway Stewart. It's the first Conway Stewart I bought actually. It's a Churchill. If you can just make out the Churchill there, made in England, which is a delight to see, I think. So this is Magical Forest from Diamine. I don't know if it's Diamine or Diamine, one of those strange names that you never can tell. Question mark. So Magical Forest from Diamine, and I am writing with my Conway Stewart, what is it, Churchill. I love this pen. I bought this, it's one of my first fountain pens I bought after my sales were doing really well with books, so about 2000 I bought this, 1998, 99, 2000, and I used it regularly for many years since. It's a lovely pen, really good size to it, good size, good feel. There we go. So let's just do another little gun effect here of colour, see how well it shades in. And there's one other thing I'm going to do now, which is just to create a splodge, because it's always good to have a little splodge of ink, I think. Let's see how this goes. So those two there. I'll do the same with the other two pens. And then you get more of an idea of the way that if you can see that, how it's just been lying down for a minute and already the particles are precipitated out slightly down there. So one thing you do need to do with these inks is move the pen around as you're writing, so that you get a fair shake of the pen so that the particles do move. Don't, however, shake your pen with enormous violence, because you will make one hell of a mess in your office if you do that. These things are, I've been surprised at just how fluid these inks are. They're really a delight to write with. They're very, very good. And then just a couple of splodges of Brandy Dazzle. There we go. Right. So let's wait a few minutes now until these have dried, and you can see what they look like in a bit of daylight, or sunlight anyway. Right, now this is the interesting, very difficult bit of filming, because I'm trying to hold up a bit of paper to show how much dazzling, shimmering, glittery stuff there is in all the writing. And trying to do that remotely is not so easy. But hopefully you can see here with the Brandy Dazzle lots and lots of little glitters, no matter how I move this sheet of paper. I'd say it's almost an oxblood type of colour, this one. Really, really nice. Quite a sort of bronzy, goldeny colour. And with the shimmery highlights in the ink blots and so on, very, very effective. And you go down to this bright red, which is a gorgeous dark berry red, I'd say. Really, really nice colour. The writing, don't know if you can pick it up so well on the camera. It is very, very sparkly. It looks really, really good, but they're very, very fine particles, and I think it's much easier to pick them up with the eye than possibly through a camera lens. But certainly you can see with the blobs here and the different shadings that I've done, that the colour does come out really nicely, and the particles are just astonishing, especially when you do the blobs. So this last one, Magical Forest, is, I think, it's only one of my favourites. The particles are really tiny in this, absolutely tiny. It shows really good shading, I think. You can see with the D there, you can see with most of the writing there with Diamine, that you've got really good effective shading on the colour, and then the particles mostly live down in the bottom part. And I write on a slope, so the ink does tend to shade that bit better anyway. But then when we come down to the blobs here, as I like to think of them, as you can see, all the different glitters in there, just marvellous coloured ink, and the same with these shades too. Really effective inks, very, very pretty on the paper, really good looking. I do like the particles in there, they really do give a lovely shimmer to your writing when you're going. It seems to be perfectly safe to use in any fountain pen. I'm fully convinced that it is, although I must admit I'm not leaving it in any pen for any length of time, because you never know when you've got particles of metal like this, they could clog up the feed. So personally I prefer to use it for a day, 2 days in a pen, and then wash the pen out thoroughly and make sure that the pen's left clean. But apart from that, fabulous inks to have knocking around, just as spare Christmassy style inks. So there we have it, some brilliant inks in some nice old pens, and hopefully you found that useful and informative. If you want to write some cards and things for Christmas, thank you letters, these are ideal inks for that, I would say. So apart from that, thanks very much for watching. If you've got any comments, if you've got any questions, or if you've got any ideas about other things that you'd like to see reviewed, put a comment in the notes section down the bottom. If you haven't already done it, please do subscribe. We've had a huge number of new subscribers in the last couple of weeks, which is great to see. Thanks a lot for that. And I look forward to seeing this shared and tweeted and all those things, and look forward to seeing you again soon. So, now I'm going to go back to my cup of tea. Cheers.